and welcome to Romantasy Readers Podcast. My name is Nicole, and as always, I'm joined by my sensational co-host, Alley. We have a very special return author with us today. You may know her and her sensational best-selling novels. We have Danielle Jensen. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us again.
So good to be back.
We're so excited to have you here. You're our first repeat author on the podcast, which is just like it feels really exciting, to be building author relationships and having the podcast growing. So
Absolutely. It's wonderful. It feels honestly like yesterday.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've done a lot between the last time we talked. We have so much to cover.
We do.
Yeah. Before we dive in though, I had a special delivery that came in literally today that felt very driven by fate. My beautiful copy of Twisted Throne came in today. I just opened the mail literally like a half hour ago and I was like, oh, it's
here. You have my girl Anna.
Yes, I know. I'm just obsessed with these new editions. I had the first two in paperback in the old editions, and I had to completely replace all of them. So now I have all six.
Well,
and I put
so shiny.
They're so shiny.
They're so shiny.
Yeah, so
I love it. You love
it. I have.
Do you have the special edition? Oh, I know they're so good.
Look at
as soon as I saw that,
everyone, this is the new hardcover. So this is metallic ink.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's kind of like rose gold.
Yeah, and it's just very shimmery. So it's like the nice matte texture, the soft texture, but the ink is like shiny. And then underneath is the art that people really like to go crazy over, and that's Pandora's art.
Oh my God. Look at those muscles.
I've seen these on your Instagram, and it's just so good. So we publish this podcast both on YouTube and audio. So if you're an audio listener, you definitely need to go and least look these up.
So it's going to have the kind of spines where when you get all the books, it makes a picture.
You are literally, you're bringing because this is a big thing.
I'm showing you on the naked case. It's on the, there we go. I'm like, that's not right. There we go. So when you put with the jacket on with the spines, it will make another, there's another piece of art by this artist, Egan Tan. So yes, it will show that probably fairly soon, I would think. But so all 6 books will form the full piece of art. And I know.
So as soon as I saw that you announced those, I was like, oh, dang it, I'm going to have to buy another set. But they're too pretty not to own.
But you're also understanding us as bookstagrammers and book talkers, that so many of us, we want art pieces. These are our trophies up here. Often we've listened to them on audio or on our Kindles, but then when we buy them, we want these beautiful ones that we can put up on our walls and just enjoy and appreciate. And they are absolutely stunning. But okay, we have to talk about what an epic year you have had this year, because you haven't just delivered one book this year. You've delivered three books. You've delivered
three series finales.
Yeah, I know. That's what's wild is it's not only 3 books, but it's series finales as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just
I mean, it's crazy to have so many things wrapping up and to have so much happening at once. I mean, in fairness, because publishing is the way that it is, I did finish a lot of this stuff, except for Bridge Kingdom 6 is a bit different, but I finished them a while ago. So it's really nice though to have readers experiencing the finales, because there's nothing like the finale, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the first book is amazing because you get to meet the characters, but the finale is, the thing that I think really brings readers together. So to have that happen 3 times in 1 year is pretty great. It's pretty epic. Yeah.
Amazing. And I think that was one of the questions I had was, how did you write these finales? Because especially with series with Scorched Earth, obviously there was a big time period gap between the last book and this one. Have you had it written for a while, or did you have to go back and refresh your memory on where you were up to with these characters? I guess what was sort of your process there with some of these series and writing the finales?
Well, with Bridge Kingdom and with Saga of the Unfated, it was pretty fresh in the sense that I was going more or less right from writing the previous book to the next book. So, it's a little bit easier that way. With Scorched Earth, for those of you who don't know, after Gilded Serpent, which was book 3, was published, the publisher said, we are not going to finish the series. I know people think this is like this urban legend that this doesn't happen. It actually happens all the time.
Yeah.
You usually don't hear about it because they're not your best-selling books. It's not like it's happening to, your big best-selling authors.
Mm-hmm.
And so they said, we're not going to publish it. And I said, okay, I will finish this series, whether it has to be independently or not. But ultimately, it did have to be a little bit back burner because it is my job. It's my career. Like, this is how I pay my bills and, go on vacation and all that sort of stuff. So I needed books that were, going to be more certain in being able to allow me to eat, because that is important.
It's important.
And so, it was on the back burner, and I was working on it and just, so committed to it, had a cover done for it and all that. But between the time when Gilded Serpent happened and I got, canceled effectively, Bridge Kingdom really took off. Saga of the Unfated really, really took off.
Yes.
And so because it's a business, the publisher, we went back to them and said, it would be really nice if you could publish the last book, because, then we have the distribution, you can get like a proper matching edition and all that sort of stuff. And they agreed. And so then it became a very front list item because I, was on a contract and I had deadlines and whatnot, but it is a really, really long book. So it did take, I had to sit down and go through, but I think more than any other series, I know the content of these novels just so well. Like, I know it as well as my own life. So it was very easy for me to really re-engage with those characters, with the series, with the plot. And plus, I have known for so many years where I was going with this.
Yes.
So it took a long time, and it was a very challenging book to write because it is a 300,000 word book.
It's huge.
So
I literally finished it last night on my audiobook, and I had to go at 1.7 because it was like 33 hours. But
it is.
And amazing.
So it took a long time, but I mean, I was working with my my editor, Melissa Frayne, who has been with me through this entire series and who I've worked on with many projects. And, she loves these characters in the series so well. So it was very much like being back with old friends with that series. And it took a long time because it's a long book. So writing it takes a long time. Every passive editorial takes a really long time. Reading through it just takes a long time.
Yeah, right.
I don't get to just like skim through. I have to like pay attention to every sentence. So it does take longer time to do everything. But she's here and we're thrilled.
And she's so incredible. The last time we chatted, I had not read the Dark Shore series. It was the one I hadn't read. And I felt like I hadn't done my homework, like bad kid in school. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to get it all read this time. And I did. And I absolutely have like adored this series. And this last book is truly incredible. Like I listened to the audiobook as well. And as I was listening, it was I just like so many times I was like, there's so many like threads. How are they all going to come together? Like, how's this going to, and you're like, like getting just, and like the geography was so present, and, they're getting marched in on both sides. I mean, there was so much about it that was so good.
Politics, the magic system, all the characters converging. And look, right now we'll sit in a slight spoiler-free zone. We'll go into more detail in a little bit. We'll keep it slightly spoiler-free for anyone that's just wanting to get a feel for what we're talking about today. But it was just, for me, I haven't read a finale this epic since Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. Like, that, that, especially with that, seriously, especially with like
100% agree. 100%
magic system and like this seventh, god. And I'm thinking, how are they going to defeat it? Like, how is this? I know it's going to turn around because it's a romantasy book, but how are they going to do it?
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly the series. It's funny because I'm certainly the most well known for, Fading to Blood, Bridge Kingdom, but I think that this is my best series from like taking like from my heart and also from like a craft and world building standpoint. But it's more challenging read. It's not something that you're necessarily going to be able to just like flip through, and it's not as romance focused. So, it just inherently kind of has a smaller market, but I am just, for my like core hardcore Dark Shores readers, I'm just so thrilled to have the book in their hands and for them to know the ending that has been in my head for so long.
Yeah. So for maybe some of our listeners, because we're in the spoiler-free zone, so that way listeners can listen to the first, 20 minutes or so without getting any spoilers. So for some of our listeners who do only know you from Bridge Kingdom or from the Saga of the Unfated, tell us a little bit spoiler-free about Dark Shores.
So Dark Shores is upper young adult. So, 16 plus is usually what I tell people, but obviously adults can read it totally fine.
It doesn't feel YA to me. Yeah,
no,
it feels like
I mean,
fantasy series,
the characters are late, like they're late teens. So
yeah.
You can feel comfortable with that. But it is epic fantasy. And so the first two books, Dark Shores and Dark Skies, follow two separate plot lines in the sense they're about different pairs of characters, and then they converge in 3 and 4. And it is ultimately so difficult to summarize compared to some of my books, which I can give you like a 1-sentence pitch. But it is, you have two halves of the world who have been kept from each other and knowing each other's existence. And the Roman-based conquering type empire discovers that this other half exists, and of course are set on crossing the world and conquering the other side of the world. And it's very much paralleling how you would write a fantasy novel with like a dark sort of Sauron, Lord of the Rings type evil with human evil. So both sides of the stories are very parallel in the sense you have human and you have supernatural. You have a magical blight that is taking over part of the world. You have a very human-based, culture that is conquering and assimilating. And that was how I wanted to write it, was to just show that how in fantasy that we can take very real world type history and situations and use fantasy to sort of work through those issues. And so I wanted it to be this big vision of it.
And that's what I love about this series, is that you really have these two sets of characters and two halves of the world. One that's very non-magic, and the power is with politics and being very intelligent and finding ways to overcome things by manipulation and various as you would often in real life. And then you've got the magic, the other half of the world that's got the magic system, and you've got this, you say, blight and this epic evil that they need to defeat. And you've got that side of it as well. And so you've got the two. So for readers, depending on what you prefer, there's a little bit of both of those available to you. And of course, some great romance to go along both those storylines.
Absolutely. Lots of romances, lots of kissing, and lots of found family and adventure. But yes, it is very interesting to me to see who readers, so I always like to ask, like, who are you on the Lydia Killian side of things? Are you on the Marcus Onteriana side of things? Because I think it tells you so much about a person to know who they gravitate towards. So you have to answer.
Yeah, I think I know how Nicole will answer. I think we'll be opposite. So you answer, Nicole, and then I'll answer.
Can I also outline that we've also had a third romance jump in with
we cannot forget.
Like, I was like, I wasn't expecting this romance, and now I'm 100% here for it. And I love Agrippa. That was so good, because he's such a he's cheeky and intelligent, and he has I don't know, he blends both. But I'm a Lydia and Killian girl. I always have been. Even though Killian made me pretty upset with a few of his, things that he said in the third book, I was a bit angry with him. He came good. He came good in the fourth book. Yeah.
And you know that I'm a Marcus and Tariana girl. I just the intellect, the way that they match each other intellectually is the thing that that I really like. I think so I definitely, not that, I mean, I love all the romances, but that's the one that I'm always most interested to get back to. But the thing about the fourth book that really struck me is how there's just so much tension between the love interests, but also between friends, right? There's so much like, are they going to find each other? Are they going to come, when are they going to all get together? When are they going to unite? And I think that is like the thing that I love in romance, right? I love the yearning. I love the like, when are they going to be there? And I love that applied to the friendships and the found family as well.
Yeah,
you just have this like, you're just
That
sitting there yearning for them to all unite together.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I always look at the way to make relationships interesting in fiction is there has to be some degree of conflict. Now, conflict doesn't mean have to be you're mad at each other. It can be like Lydia and Tariana, who are separated by circumstance. That is a type of conflict. Conflict doesn't mean I hate you always. It's a thing that is keeping them from being together and just happily prancing off into the sunset. And that can apply to friendship. It can apply to family. So how you make all the relationships interesting is that you inject an element of conflict into them. And with that novel, that series, more than any of my other series, because it's more epic fantasy. It's not romantasy in the sense of what I write in my adult spaces. I have more space to go outside the main romantic union and really develop interactions between multiple different characters and inject conflict into them. And I do think it creates just such a rich experience because every relationship becomes more interesting versus just like this background. Oh yeah, they're my friend and they like go on adventures with me. It's not that interesting and you don't remember it. But if you remember, an argument between characters or, where they, split ways and that sort of stuff, that's the sort of stuff that you really remember. Yeah. And I think it makes you really anticipate the resolution of those conflicts.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Quickly, I'm getting out of spoiler zone. Like we need to get into spoiler zone here because I can't keep myself from like
one more question. Okay, one more question before spoiler zone, and then I'm gonna delay you just because you have so many incredible rich worlds, and I feel like there's a lot of readers who maybe know you for one or know you for another. So I'm gonna ask kind of a fun question. Sure. Be our travel guide. Where are we going? Which world should we go to for the relaxing beach vacation? Where should we go for the, adventure vacation? And where are we going for culture and museums and learning? For all your worlds.
Pressure's on.
Pressure's on.
Okay. If you were going for a relaxing vacation, you would go to I feel like you could go into certain parts of the Bridge Kingdom world. Like you could go to Valcata and have just a really nice time in Paranat. Mm-hmm. It's gorgeous. It's like almost like southern, like a very southern, warmer Venice with canals and beautiful stones. You have just a wonderful time. They have beaches. It's great. And they're very civilized, coffee houses and all those things.
Yeah, really good food, I think.
Slight issue with the endless war, but that's, presumably resolved.
Right. Well, there's some nice beaches and good weather. We're okay with it.
Now, if you're going to go on adventures, you're going to go to Ithacana, which is the one of the other nations in the Bridge Kingdom world. And you can do swimming with sharks and you can go ziplining. You can meet all sorts of dangerous wildlife, venomous snakes, some pretty cool spiders. And, your travel guide could be King Aron Kertel, who is very handsome, and he's going to keep you safe through the entire experience and tell you all about the world. Right. And culture, we will travel to the Dark Shores world, and we will go to Ravat, which is in Gamdush, which has the most beautiful libraries in the world.
Yes.
And is basically considered like the jewel of the entire world as far as beauty, center of trade, culture, knowledge, education, and all those things. And you can learn everything there is to know because they are the center of the Dark Shores world. So there you go. Amazing. My travel pitch. Amazing. Never mind that yours truly dragged every single one of these nations through multiple wars. Yeah. And they're looking a little bit like
this is when everything is happily ever after again.
When everything's rebuilt.
Yeah, everything's rebuilt.
Exactly. Now that we're at the finale,
and I'm done with them and done ruining things.
Yeah,
exactly. No, I love it. Okay, all right. We're getting into spoiler zone because I need to just like talk about everything, especially for Scorched Earth, because as I said, I literally finished it last night. So it's super fresh for me. I would love to debrief about it. But quickly, we obviously said who our favorite pairs and couples were. Do you have a favorite couple from the Dark Shores series?
Yeah, it's Marcus and Tariana.
Yeah.
I mean, Marcus is my favorite character that I've ever written.
Aww.
So he is like I've like put my heart and soul into that man.
Yeah.
And what is it about Marcus that you really love? Because he's an interesting character, very intelligent, but he has to make a lot of really hard decisions. And he obviously has his own challenges with health issues and that sort of thing as well.
He's a villain. People don't like that all the time to hear me say that, but that's why his arc does feel different than the other three and the other six, if you count in Agrippa and Silvara. He has a villain's arc, and spoiler if you have not read the end of Scorched Earth, but it's the Empire is the Blade. Cassius is the Corruptor. Marcus and Rufina are two sides of the same coin. So you get them both presented with effectively the same choice at the end, which is, are you willing to sacrifice sort of everything in order to make the right choice and do the right thing? And she chooses not to, and, gets dead. And, Marcus does sacrifice absolutely everything. But his arc through the entire story is a villain's arc. And, you are in his head, so you understand the reasons for it. But, Tariana has a few good speeches in the story where she talks about how it's easier to think of evil as this evil for evil's sake, faceless thing where it's just a monster. But the reality is that the most evil things often are being done for reasons that are just all too familiar, doing it to protect the people that you love, doing it to protect yourself, doing it because you feel like you have no choice, doing it because, there's a multitude of reasons throughout history. And that it's scary to us because, we all want to see ourselves as the hero who's not going to be the villain. But when you have to address that villainy can be caused by lots of times really good reasons, you have to accept the fact that you too have the potential to become the villain.
Absolutely.
And so that's very much what you're seeing with him is that he's not doing any of these things to be bad.
He's not being inherently evil. Like
protect his legion, to protect his family, because he feels like he's no choice. He's indentured to the Empire. There are all of these really valid reasons that he does the things that he does. But he does incredible evil because of all these things. And it is a villain's arc. And that is so compelling, I think, to a lot of readers. Yeah. But a lot of people get really upset when I call him a villain.
Well, I think he is. He definitely is. But in such an interesting, you can't help but root for him.
Yeah.
And that's the best kind of villain, I think. I love that kind.
I think we kind of know in his core he's good, even though he's making all these really bad decisions because he's sort of forced to do so because of his position, because of his secrets. So obviously there's that part of us as readers that can see the good in him and say, oh, but he's good. But he is actually, when you look at it from another perspective, you can see how he can be seen as very, very evil. Whereas Killian in reverse is just very much a typical hero, generally making good choices and being, the typical hero arc. But I love a good villain, and I think they're so much more interesting. And I think the complexity you added to his character of having, say, that he's making these really bad decisions or decisions that impact a lot of people, kill a lot of people, conquering other worlds, but he's doing it for very good reasons, is very, very interesting. And he ends up, the Marcus's ending was probably actually, it's interesting that you call him a villain because you pretty much gave him that villain ending where, final spoiler, but Marcus dies. You killed him off. And then I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to cope with this? But then thank God Lydia was there and he got brought back, thank God, because,
Well, I think it was important to see how everything that he did all these dark things in order to prevent certain things or to protect certain people. You had to watch him effectively sacrifice everything in order for there to be justice, I guess.
Yes.
For him to just have had a very easy, happily ever after where he just got to be, everything resolved.
Escape off into the sunset.
All these like dark
There
things.
are consequences.
It wouldn't have been satisfying because, he did all these, you had to watch him say, okay, I am willing to accept these sacrifices. I am willing to let my family be executed. I am willing to give up the girl. I am willing to give up power. I am willing to give up all my friends. I am willing to give up my life in order to atone for the things that I have done.
Yeah.
It was very important that he make all those sacrifices and that he have to pay in a way for all the things that he did. Whereas Rufina refused. She just refused.
Yeah.
And, those are the choices that are presented to you. But I think that if it had just been like a very simple, easy ending for him, that readers, like it might have been nice, but in a way it just would not have satisfied the type of readers who come to this story.
Yeah. Agreed. Was there anything as you were writing it that surprised you? Like something a character did that you weren't expecting, a path that you weren't expecting, or did it kind of always follow the vision that you had in your mind?
I did not know until I started really envisioning and plotting out the way that it was going to go, that Agrippa was going to end up with Malahai.
Yes.
Love it. Love a surprise romance.
I knew certainly at the end of writing Gilded Serpent that I wanted to go that direction. But that was not something that while I was writing Gilded Serpent, that I conceived. Like I didn't know that I was going to go that direction. But I really loved it. Once it started, it felt so right. And that's part of like knowing your characters, because you can like plot and you can set things out, but at the end of the day, it's knowing the type of person that you've created that allows you to put them in the situation and know what feels right for them to do. And so, when I had him and Bird rescuing her and just knowing their own particular needs, I was like,
I see something here.
I have some feelings. And I thought people were going to be so upset because the people who have read Tarnished Empire, which is his story, the prequel, he's in another relationship.
Yeah.
And, it breaks up fairly dramatically. I thought people were going to be pissed off at me for, smashing their ship and putting him together with someone who has not always been a popular character. But I've had actually really good response from people, and that tells me that I did the right thing.
Yeah. And I think there was a moment where he put his arm, or like he like put his arm around her waist or something and like pulled her into him for safety or something, and that was the moment that I went, oh, hang on, wait, there's something going on here. Like there is a whole, wait, can we get like a Agrippa POV, please? Because I need to like,
I know in my head what happened. So I know that.
You had to write a little novella.
I swear I will write it. I will write it, and I'll just do it as like a, subscribe to my newsletter and you can have this.
I'll
do it because I do 100% know what happened, and those moments, and how they both sort of heal something in each other. So I know that stuff, and it is always the problem when you do get more of a limited to certain characters' point of view. I'll know things that are happening in the background, but you can't really show them on the page because they, if Killian's just sitting there watching them like have this romantic moment.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
It's not the same feeling. I have to write the chapters from the either Malahai or Agrippa's perspective in order for you to really understand.
Exactly. And I can really
I want to see their wedding. I want to see, there's so many things from their like love story that I want to see.
Did you enjoy Agrippa giving Killian like sex time lessons?
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh
my God. I think I was listening to that. I actually was driving back from Colorado yesterday. I live in Salt Lake, and I went to like a cabin in the mountains, and I was listening to this, but I had friends in the car and they were all like kind of sleeping. So I put my book on and then listened to that. And like, I just hear people giggling in the background who like didn't know anything about the book, and they had just like woken up and heard that part. So it was really funny.
Yeah. Because the girls are like, what are we doing? And like,
I loved it.
I love it. It was so perfect, because obviously Killian was fairly, it was very typical that you would go to someone who is experienced and find out the ways to make sure that you're, have you're well educated for the bedroom. So
yeah.
But I just
and Killian multiple times is like, girls seem to really like this guy. There's got to be like a reason for this.
Yeah.
And I think what I'd love to see is, because I don't feel like Malahai would have been overly easy to win over. Like, I feel like there would have been a little bit of not slow, but it would have been angsty and fiery, those two. But Agrippa just would have been very like, once he decides he wants something, I feel like there's no getting around that. When he's set on you.
He was a hook, line, and sinker once he was like, I love you.
But the thing I really loved about Agrippa, and this was a really important moment, because I think one of the big things throughout this was this feeling that Marcus, no one could get around Marcus from when he had a plan, no one could outmaneuver him. And having that moment towards the end where Marcus has them surrounded and they're like, we can't, like, he's got us, and then Agrippa makes that decision to go and talk to him and basically plays his card, and the bravery that obviously would have took, while he's also acts like a real larrikin. We kind of find out that he was pretty nervous going into that, knowing that he may not have come back out again. But I don't know, tell us a little bit about maybe writing that particular scene, because that's probably one of the most epic moments in the book.
Mm-hmm.
I was working towards that scene for a really long time. And so, that's easily one of my favorite scenes in the novel, and one of like the most emotionally charged ones. But it comes from two places. One is very much that Tariana had to accept that it is not my responsibility to make this man
good.
I cannot have that burden. It is not my responsibility. He has wronged me. He has wronged the world. I cannot do this. It could not be her who took that upon herself, because it wouldn't be fair to her in so many ways, because she would have just had to like set aside so much of what was important to her. So to have it come from someone who was once a friend, brother in arms, and now has chosen to really go a different path, to have him rattled out of this sort of dark trajectory that he was on from Agrippa really just made so much more sense. But it was also, you have someone who has known him from the beginning, who has been there through a huge portion of like, the childhood traumas that they've all endured, who knows so much and knows the buttons to push and knows, but is also a little bit enough set back from the situation that he can be like very like outside looking in a way. To a lot of what has gone on with Marcus and Tariana. And so Agrippa just like really, it felt so genuine to write that moment from him coming to Marcus that way and him forcing him to address some of the stuff that he has done. It just felt like the thing that a real true friend would actually do in real life. And it just felt so genuine, but it was very emotionally charged, because you just, it's like hard truth. And all on the back of realizing that this friend is still alive and is not only
exactly.
alive, but
We've
fighting
spent
for the other side. And so, you know,
Yeah.
it was just so many emotions coming from so many different places and just so many bombs dropping.
Aw.
And so it was one of my favorite scenes to write. It's one of my editor's favorite scenes and my sister's favorite scenes too.
It is because firstly we've got all this angst because we know Agrippa's alive and Marcus doesn't know, and we're waiting for that epic moment where they finally come together, and then for it to happen in this particular moment, this intense scene where Marcus is extremely controlled by you know, the blight and the seventh god. He's being very influenced by that, and this really trips him up. And it was really refreshing for it not to be the love interest, for it to actually be someone different, and especially because Marcus as a character also had such a connection to the 37th and his brothers in arms. And so to have it come from there was really, really beautiful, and took a little bit of pressure off that sort of relationship as well with Teriana. But yeah, I just thought beautifully executed. Well done. Just hats off.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you know, when you're writing it and you're just like,
done.
It's usually a sign of a good scene. And so, yeah, I love that. And I loved just really working towards that moment, because certainly if you've read Tarnished Empire, you were just waiting for those two to be like smashed together into a situation. And I think it was always really funny to me because when people would be predicting what Scorched Earth it was about, it was like oddly that like they would all become friends at the beginning of the novel and then work together to fight against the corruptor. And I was like, it's not quite how it's gonna go.
Have you read my books?
I'm like, I'm not sure why you think that would happen, but okay.
I love the way that Killian and Marcus basically wanted to kill each other through about 90% of it till they finally kind of came to some sort of agreement somewhat by the end.
Peace. Forced peace.
Yeah.
And poor Agrippa being stuck between them, being like, I hate this so much.
Well, and like the moment when Agrippa realizes that he and Lydia are like basically related, I thought that was so fun when he's like, oh, you're
I mean, they all know each other because like,
yeah,
you know, they're all from this very, you know, small pool of upper echelon patrician society. And so they all have these like interconnections. And yes, for Agrippa to be like, oh my God, my brother is married to Marcus's sister.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all were like, basically spent, you know, the guys went off to school at, you know, age 7s, but in their younger years. And then Marcus was friends with Lydia when in their youth. And they in their own way have such a incredible connection. Writing scenes between Marcus and Lydia to me is always so intense because they have so much history, and a lot of it, some of it's good, but a lot of it is really bad because try to drown her, which doesn't make for good friendship. But you know, writing those two together is always just really tense too. Whereas if you have Teriana and Killian, they're just like friends, so it's easier. But easier for them, harder for me to make it interesting because there's no inherent conflict there. But yeah, I mean, I loved all the comings togethers and the meetings of people who had been separated for a long time and people who thought that, you know, other people were dead, and trauma.
I know. And so do you have a favorite scene? Do you have a scene that you kind of look back on and go, that was my favorite to write, or this was a really important scene for me to write?
You know, when Teriana goes in to seduce Marcus wearing the dress.
Yes.
And he just
cracks immediately.
And just, the emotion in that scene. My editor says it's the best scene I've ever written. I think she's right.
Yeah.
I'd say between that one and the one with Agrippa, those two were, and the ending on the gallows.
I mean, there's so, it's like, how can you even pick? This book is so good. It's so rich. It's so filled with incredible scenes. And it's filled with such emotion. There's so many characters who, like the scene with Teriana and Marcus, they're both sort of like acknowledging their feelings, but then walk away being like, we still can't be together. Like it's so rich. I was just, every moment I was
And I was
there's
trying to
something
figure
going
out
on, you
who
know?
we were going to lose. I'm like, is this
I
YA
know.
where everyone's going to be okay, or are we going to actually lose a big character first? So first I'm like, oh my God, we're really losing Malahai. I thought Malahai had died for sure. But then she came back, thank God. Thank you, Lydia. Thank you. And then there was Marcus. But Lydia just kept saving the day. And then we thought Killian was gone. Like it was very concerning for quite some time. But thank you for not really killing off any major characters. Really appreciate that from...
I mean, yeah, like people died, but I do think that there are ways to pull that type of emotion out of readers that are other than death, because death is so final.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the reasons why Lydia, lets him live in the end. She is like, you screwed up, my friend. You did a lot of bad shit. You're not getting off the hook by just dying.
Going off. Yeah.
And when he's like, I am going back to get hung again. And his friends are like, can you not? But, just there's a finality to it. And you cannot, it was important for the world to have justice against him. But I think important for him in his own personal life and relationships to have a chance to live chance to live a better life.
Yeah.
And to, prove that he is capable of being a good person when he is, outside of the circumstances that he was in. So
yes,
hopefully he does. Or Lydia's just going to kill him.
Yeah. Now we have to talk for a moment. Oh, sorry. I'll go
ahead.
into this. Yeah. Lydia and Killian, obviously the other major love interest in this series. And okay, there was one of my favorite lines that I just like, you need to put this on your website or something, but you are mine, all the parts of you, light and dark. Like that just gets me right in the heart. Can you tell me a little bit about writing these two?
It's so it's really, it's friends to lovers, or star-crossed love would be how I would describe it from a trope standpoint. They're not enemies. And they don't have conflict in the sense that they don't like each other ever throughout. It's always circumstances always against them. But, Lydia is not a stereotypical heroine in the sense that she's not like a warrior who can just kick anyone's ass, like she's just a normal kind of girl in that sense. She has her healer powers, but she has had that inability to defend herself physically be used against her so often that has kind of given her a complex in a way, because she, feels that if she could be like a typical heroine, that these things would not have happened. And so she is very much seeking the physical strength and feels that she would be better if she had that ability. And it takes her to some really dark places. And it was important to me to really show that the dark places are part of who she is, and they're not necessarily evil. And it's a theme that kind of comes up in a lot of my novels. It comes up in Saga of the Unfated as well, that sometimes you're, selfishness, sometimes fear, sometimes, wanting to be, reach towards whatever it will take to make you, physically capable of doing this stuff. Like, it's not inherently bad. It's when those things take over and you become too much that way that you start to really go to a dark place. And so, it was her, and she says it time and again, you can't absolve me of the things that I said because no one made me say them. It was me. And yes, was I under some, influence of just sort of nudging me to be more of my darker self? Absolutely. But it was me. And so he can't just say, we're just going to get rid of that part of you and then I'll love this great part. He had to love all of her as a whole.
Yeah.
And that's very much the same if you go over into Saga of the Unfated with, Freya also has a very similar type of inner conflict. and Bjorn not really recognizing that that's part of her, and loving both halves of her became very important in that story too.
Yeah.
Because you can't just love part of a person. You have to love all the parts, even if some of them are harder to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I really loved in the Dark Shores series with Lydia and Malahai as well was that you had them have these really strong powers that actually ended up healing the world and saving the day, so to speak, but they weren't your typical big heroic powers. It was the healing powers, it was nature, but having it that it was so strong that it actually allowed them to heal, and obviously just at the end of the day being quite brave, which I think a lot of readers can resonate with, to not actually be physically strong and powerful, but to perhaps use your intelligence, use your kindness and caring, but using it for good, and seeing Lydia go on that journey where she basically goes through a degree of addiction and then has to go on her own sort of healing journey herself, was really, really impactful, I think.
Yeah. And I really love the relationship between Lydia and Malahai and where it starts and kind of how it evolves into this really deep friendship and extreme respect for one another. And I thought that was another really well done part of the story that
People said I couldn't redeem her, and I said, hold my beer.
Definitely. So in many ways the series Dark Shores is about, at least especially in early books, dropping characters into like an unknown world and seeing how they will react. Which of the characters, if they were dropped into our world, do you think would do the worst, and who would do the best? I feel like there's so many good options, so I'm so excited for what you're going to say, because I feel like it could go either way for almost all of them.
I think Tariana would do the best because she's used to going into all these different cultures all the time.
That's true.
And she's like, Tariana's really good at getting along with people.
Yeah.
Tariana's going to make friends wherever she goes. So, I think that Marcus might have a little bit of a hard time because he likes things to be such a certain way.
Yeah. He likes to be in control.
That way.
Yeah.
And so he would get there, but he would like mentally, I think, really, he's in his own way not as adaptable as some of the other ones. And Killian would have to accept that he could not just fight everyone all the time.
No, you got to put down that sword, Killian. You can't actually.
But he would in fact have to go to jail for some of the stuff that he does. So
yeah.
Tariana would do good as long as she didn't get dropped in a cold place, I think.
Yes.
I think she struggles a little bit with the cold.
Oh my God.
She overcomes it, but I think she does not like the cold.
I loved, it was painful, but the Sideburn, like when her and Marcus have to like trek 20 miles a day, there was something in me that just like, I always felt like I was on my own Sideburn when I was doing my did a massive binge, because what I did, right, was I read these books years ago and then I went to start the last one and realized I can't remember a lot of what happened. Like I can't do that. I have to go back. I have to read the whole thing again.
Yeah.
So I did my own binge, but it was the best. I'm so glad I did it because it was fabulous. But I love a good like struggle that they had to go through, and surviving that Sideburn almost winter and getting through it was very traumatic. And
yeah, I'm not fit enough to do it. I would just been like, eat me, wolves.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I would have twisted my ankle on the first day, like just
Tariana would have rendered me unconscious much earlier than she rendered Marcus unconscious. Like, we wouldn't even been on the heights. We would have been like, I would have been crying about the wolves and she would have been like, girl, you need to go. You need to be put out. I'll like drag you the 20 miles.
Yes. And the heights, subjecting him to those heights over and over again was just...
As someone who is also completely afraid of heights, I actually thought that you did that really well. The way that like your body it just freezes, and you are really afraid of heights, like it's like you cannot move your body to take a step. And I have experienced that because it's a really, really a visceral fear for me. And it was really resonated with me.
Yeah, I know it. I loved writing that, even though it was so horrifying. Because I too I don't like heights if there's any risk of me falling.
Oh God, yeah. I still have traumatic memories from, I did whitewater rafting in New Zealand years and years ago, and you have to go on one of the most dangerous roads in the world to get there. We actually had to sign these waivers to say we wouldn't sue people if we died on the road to get to the whitewater rapids. And this road was like dirt road, 200-meter cliff face. It was just terrifying. My husband's looking over the edge and he's like, look, I can't even see the ground. It's just pure drop. And we're at the back of the bus and I'm hugging the guy on the other side to like keep the weight like to the you know, the mountain side of the road. It was terrifying.
Yes, I mean, I love exploring terrors. I mean, you certainly see it. Like things that are just likely to scare people and scare me ultimately. I do like to make my characters go through those ordeals.
Yeah.
It's like I could never do it, but they will do it.
They can.
When all the ropes were breaking in the last bridge thing, it was very stressful. It was very stressful.
I know, it's very cinematic, right? Like you're like, you can imagine the film and you're like,
yes, yeah.
Which actually
really
leads me to a question that is actually a question about.
Go ahead. I was going to pivot us away from Dark Shores.
So this is a little bit of a pivot as well, because that actually leads me to a question I really wanted to ask, which is, if one of your book series was going to be turned into a movie or TV show, do you have one that you would really like to be turned into one? Which one do you think would be best? Or if you happen to already have one signed, I mean, please just use this as your opportunity to tell us.
I was allowed to tell you any of those contracts, I would tell you. I'd love Dark Shores, but it would need like a Game of Thrones level scope.
Yeah.
And so I think that the chances of that happening, because it's so expensive, would be, I think that you're just inherently, Saga of the Unfated is probably the one that would be most likely. I'd love to see Bridge Kingdom, but again, that would require like a lot of special effects to, for the bridge and all that sort of stuff.
Well, people love a lot of Vikings, don't they? Like we've seen some.
I think that if I had to choose, I would say Bridge Kingdom.
I think it's such a visual book, like, because you just get that image of the islands and this just trying to imagine this bridge and how it connects everything together. You just, so much as a reader, you really just want to visualize that. So it would be amazing to see it in a movie or TV series. HBO, you're watching, consider reaching out.
I know, right? Exactly. No, I mean, it would be amazing. It would be amazing. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem with these types of books is that, if you get like a contemporary romance that's set in New York, it's super inexpensive to make. Like you're basically, most of your budget is going to your movie stars. But when you get into these fantasies where you have to, have multiple like locations and a huge amount of special effects budget and, an incredible amount of costuming, they're so expensive to make. And that's one of the reasons why, one, they rarely do get made, and two, they get canceled all the time, because if they're just not being watched enough, they will
get canceled.
Money isn't there, it's business.
Or they don't invest enough, and then the readership that was like super into it is just like it just didn't capture it, and then it then they stop watching it too.
Or you want that passionate director like Peter Jackson, who did Lord of the Rings, to just come along and somehow take a medium sort of budget and kind of just create this epic masterpiece, because it's such a passion project for them. But we can always hope.
You know how when Tariana's hair ornament gets dropped, it always makes a loud noise?
Yeah.
That's the ring.
Yeah.
The ring.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing.
Oh my gosh.
That was the inspiration. I mean, it got a bit of a different emotional stuff, but just like having the object have such power to it that it physically, even though it's small, is like thud.
Yeah.
That's the ring. See, you throw these things in.
Exactly.
I really love that.
I'm gonna make it like this. I'm gonna copy that.
So pivoting just a little bit before we wrap up with games, you recently announced that the 6th and final Bridge Kingdom book was going to have all 6 POVs. I lost my mind when I heard that. I was so excited. So tell us a little bit about what you can say about Bridge Kingdom 6.
Yeah, it's long. It's big.
Okay, good. Yeah,
But
love
yeah,
that.
so I mean,
I would read a 400,000 word Bridge Kingdom book.
basically, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I wasn't entirely positive whether I would have like support from, I wasn't entirely certain if it was I guess the right choice. And so I kind of wrote this really like half-assed draft, but I threw in a few scenes from these other characters. And I'm like, I think like if we do this, then we can go to this direction and we can make this really, really, really good. And everybody came back and were like, yes, 100%. And then I just like went all in, and it ended up just really, it wasn't that the plot changed fundamentally. It was just that you now can see this massive scope, and it became, you know, that sort of multi-point of view, Wheel of Time, Game of Thrones type cinematic experience where you're seeing, you know, things coming together from multiple angles, which I personally
Similar to
love.
Scorched Earth.
Yeah. And I mean, and so now it's just like even more people, and you know these people so well because you've been through their books together.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, certainly for Karis and Zara and Lara and Aaron, like it's not so much a romantic plot arc for them because we've been there and, you know, resolved. They're like happily, they're coming together, because it's not happily ever after right now because there's like a lot of war and but you know, that's not really the center of their arc. You're seeing them working together. You're seeing how they are functioning in a lot of ways as a couple. And that was really fun to work with. And it just gave me such a huge scope to write this really epic finale. And I loved it. It's, you know, it is very much a Bridge Kingdom book where James and Anna's relationship is in a lot of ways the heart of it. But you're just seeing the other relationships between the characters, because, you know, these people, like, you have sibling relationships that have, you know, conflict with them. You have friendships that have conflict with them. You know, it, as we discussed with It's Scorched Earth, having that conflict and drama within all these other types of relationships just makes the reading experience so much richer, because it's not just about, you're not just looking forward to James and Anna coming together. Now you're like, what about you know, Anna and Lara? Or what about, you want to see Karis and Lara together? Or,
well,
you know, what?
Yeah, it makes it a real world, doesn't it? Because in the real world, you have multiple relationships with different people. And of course, we are back in the Bridge Kingdom world. So we sort of want to still, it's so exciting as readers to hear that we're going to get to see those characters again, even though they won't necessarily be having a romance, that they're going to be part of this story, because we kind of want to know what Lara and Aaron have been up to, what Karis has been, and how they're all going to come together for this epic kind of, you know, like epic evil that's come along, and that as well.
And I will say, I mean, it doesn't
there's romance between,
feel like they're in their happily ever after, you know? I mean, we have seen Laura is still, there's still some struggle with her and her people and with Anna, and, you know, it definitely has a lot to do, like Karis and I'm sorry, I cannot remember. Thank you. They have a lot to do. So this doesn't really feel like everyone's happily ever after yet. So I'm so excited. And to be completely honest with you, after reading Scorched Earth and seeing like just how amazing that book is, I'm even now so much more excited for Bridge Kingdom, because I think it's going to be so epic. I just can't wait.
I really love how it came together. And there is certainly, like I say, you know, like Lara and Aaron are working together as a couple, but that doesn't mean that they agree on everything, that there's not conflict, that they don't, you know, kind of, you know, they're very, I always try to make them very real. And, you know, same with, you know, Karis and Zara. Certainly, like, I leave them at the end of Endless War, spoilers, as, you know, he's down there, but like, you have this whole legacy of this really, really long war. So him, you know, coming into that situation, it's not like people are just gonna be like, oh, we love him. Great. And so, you know, there's conflict there. And you know, they do fight, and they do have to resolve differences. So that is I can never let that go. So that was very important to me, to having both couples back on the page as point of view characters, is I did have to have a little bit of conflict happening between them in order just to make it feel interesting on a romantic standpoint. Because if they're just like, yeah, let's march along together happily, it's boring. I know that people think that it's going to be great. It's not. It's so boring. So I dutifully injected interest in the way of conflict by, having them be real people and have them addressing the things that are happening in different ways. And so it was, it's great. I know all those characters so well that stepping back into their shoes was really fun. And Karis in particular, because the number of chapters that each character gets is sort of predicated upon was need. I wasn't just being like, we're going to give it an equal amount to every person, because that's not how it would work. So Karis actually has the most number of chapters after.
That makes me really excited. He's my favorite.
After Anna and James, and it's because of the way that he worked into the plot there, which I think that you can imagine that he had, Herondale was such a touchstone of his life, because that's where he was going to flee. He knows a ton about them. He, has a lot of connections there, and he knows a lot about their political circumstances. So he just really inherently was such an asset to use in certain elements of the plot. And so he's there a lot, and he's doing things. And it was just great being back in his shoes. I am really excited.
Such an intelligent, cunning character. You just know he's going to stir things up and make
my heart.
And you left us on such a massive cliffhanger with the last book. So I'm dying to know what's going to happen with Anna and James. That hurt, but was beautiful. I was like, oh, that is such a cliffhanger. Super fun.
People always comment in my comments. They're like, will we like James again? And I'm like, no, never. You're just going to hate him.
Yeah.
Because what I find really funny is, and this is a spoiler for The Twisted Throne if you haven't read it, is that everybody is so angry at James. But imagine from his perspective, turning the corner and what he saw. Anna is furious. He knew how important all this was to her. She verbally said, and he knows she's more than capable of delivering. He turns the corner and, sees Anna with the bloody knife and Alexandra with her face cut open and a knife wound in her stomach. Because who does that to themselves? You're not going to be like, yeah, she totally cut her own face open in order to stage the scene. So extreme.
I do feel like a 5-minute conversation might have resolved everything, but obviously there wasn't time for that.
No. And so he certainly got played, but in the moment, I think that everybody, because we see it from Anna's point of view, it's like, why wasn't he just more reasonable? What if you turned the corner and this woman who you knew had the means and knew had the reason to do it,
the motive,
literally looks like she's trying to kill one of your family members. You're possibly not going to be at your most reasonable self. And then he just, he is caught up in this master manipulator scheme. So I've always been a lot more sympathetic to James, his actions, than most readers are, because I guess I can see it better from him turning the corner and just walking in on that scene. And readers only are thinking about being in Anna's head in that moment and knowing that she didn't do it.
Yes. But, and going, why can't you just talk to her and just ask her about it? Then she'll explain everything and then it'll all be okay and you could be on her side. But that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't make for an entertaining cliffhanger.
And also then there would be no book sick.
Exactly. Exactly. It would be all sorted.
Which we really want.
I feel like the end.
It's very, very exciting, and I cannot wait to see what is coming for our characters. Now, as if you haven't delivered enough to us already this year, you've also said that you've got a new series that you are starting to work on. Can you tell us anything more about this new project?
Yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic fantasy romance.
Yay.
Yeah, so it is. I pitched it as Snowpiercer, which is a bit more niche, but
Yep.
meets Mad Max. So it's very much this very fast-paced, you know, and I really leaned into the vibe of Mad Max in particular in a lot of ways because I just love that franchise so much. And yeah, it's they're older characters. So she is,
Amazing.
I've been waffling back and forth between 28 and 29, and he's like 38.
Oh, okay.
Bit of an age
Yay.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah, so I wanted some grown people.
Yep.
You know
we're
what's-
talking about like Henry Cavill when he did Witcher, like perfect age in my opinion.
Like not age gap in a creepy pervy way.
No.
Age
Yeah,
gap in, like,
right,
a sexy
right.
way.
Yeah, exactly.
What's crazy is Nicole and I were like just chatting about like how much we love Mad Max, and we were like kind of like between the two of us came up with like a really fun idea for like a Mad Max romantasy, but like would never have like done it. And we're just like, how cool would it be if somebody did a Mad Max romantasy? And then like had to have been like a month later that you announced your Mad Max book, and we were like, oh my god,
Yeah,
she's doing it. She knows
I love
what we want.
So
just to confirm, we're gonna have romance and like I don't know, fast moving machines of some sort or something to that effect.
Great.
Yeah,
That's all I need.
yes, it is a basically that nefarious things that I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say. Badness happens at night, and so they. Our FMC is part of a group of people who have the capacity to go at such speed that they are in perpetual daylight, and so it is fast paced. But of course, we have to face the dark a few times. So,
yep.
But it's very fast paced, very action forward, but also really leaning into a lot of discussion on, if you take Snowpiercer for an example, because it's on a train and it's very class-based, it's very focused. That's like the dystopian of it. So it is really leaning into that. It's very much leaning into how class influences survival with an element of magic in it, as far as what gives you class versus wealth, which would be, what you would see in Snowpiercer.
Right.
So, that is, the interesting thing about Mad Max is that it's post-apocalyptic, but it is also nudging into dystopian territory because you're seeing a development of these, types of societies following the apocalypse. And so I do like that sort of sweet spot where the apocalypse has happened. We're past surviving that. And we're starting to see the good and less good ways that humanity has moved forward in order to survive in these circumstances, which gives you the dystopian elements. And I really like sitting on that fence versus Hunger Games, which I would describe as like a proper dystopian, where you were like well past the apocalyptic war event that got them to that point. And so I'm really excited for it. I am expecting edits back soon, and so it's well on its way to being a book.
Happening. Yeah. So how spicy are we talking with this? If you had to give it a chili pepper rating, would you?
I'm not sure yet how spicy the first book will be. I haven't quite decided, because it's slow. It is slow burn.
Okay.
I'm going very much stepping back into the slow burn territory because they are very much on the enemy's side of things.
Enemy's train.
Yeah, the enemy's train. They're on the enemy's train, and for like really powerful reasons. So it is slow burn. When it burns, it will burn very, very hot. I'm just not sure the timing. I haven't quite landed on whether we're going to burn hot in book 1 or whether I'm going to make you wait till book 2.
Well, you know what? It's all worth it if it's a slow burn, but it's coming to something good. We can be patient.
I promise that when it burns, it'll burn. But but it is going to be, I do want it to be slow burn. I just love slow burn so much, and I love
Don't
the
we
tone
all?
of it, and
Yeah.
it does
Same.
really, really fit these characters so well. Yeah, I do really like it. It's still, I'm still on the stage where I haven't been working on it long enough that I hate it.
It's so exciting. Thank you so much.
It sounds incredible. I can't wait. I'm really excited for it.
I know. If you need any like readers, like beta readers or whatever, like we'll put our hands up. So
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there will be arcs going into next year. So I'm sure that they will do that. So
very, very exciting. All right. Well, we better quickly jump into a few little games before we let you go. Have you got a little bit of time for us to play a few games before we finish up?
Sure.
Awesome.
Perfect.
All right.
We love a good game.
Okay, we've both got two little games we want to play. Mine is our typical rapid fire questions. So obviously answer as quickly as you can. Obviously give as much detail as you like. Obviously our authors, if there's anything you can't answer, that is totally okay. But are you ready to have some fun?
I am.
Okay. First, we're going to start with a bit of screw, marry, kill. Screw, marry, kill between Marcus, Killian, and Agrippa.
I would screw Agrippa, marry Marcus, and kill Killian.
That's how I would answer it too.
Okay. Here's a trickier one. Screw, marry, kill, King Harold, Cassius, or the Magpie.
Okay. Harold is the only attractive one. Okay, I would. Ew.
It's not meant to be easy.
Cassius has those creepy, soft baby feet.
Yeah.
And he's like, yucky. It's like a magpie. Okay, I would kill Cassius because he's so gross.
Yeah. Good choice.
I would. If you marry them, do you have to sleep with them?
No.
No.
You just have to live with them forever is the point of
I would marry the magpie.
I mean, perhaps you organize his death through, nefarious purposes. So
yeah, and inherit all his wealth. And screw Harold because he's the most attractive of them all.
Good.
I love it. Okay. Of the worlds you've created, which one would you like to live in for a year and why?
None. I will die. I would live in the Bridge Kingdom world, but not in Ithacana. I would live in one of those countries that I name but never go to.
It doesn't have any drama or war or fighting.
Yeah. There'd be no drama. We could just be like, oh man, there's lots going on in Ithacana these days. They just always have so much trouble. Yeah. But I would be just fine sipping my coffee and living my best life.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Okay, now that you've finished all these book series, do you have a favorite?
Yeah, it's Dark Shores.
Oh, yeah. That's the best. I love it. Totally agree with that. Do you have a favorite FMC, or which one do you think is the most like you?
Lydia is the most like me. But she is a better person than I am. No, Lydia is most like me. And so you want to know who's most like me and who's my favorite? My favorite is Anna.
Yeah. Oh, why Anna? What do you like about Anna?
I like how Anna manages to be both incredibly badass, but also an incredibly good person.
Yeah.
So, she's got a pretty good moral compass. And so, I really like Anna. I just really like her. Yeah.
Okay. You get an offer to write a book about anything you want. No rules, as unhinged as you want, whatever genre. What would you write about?
Steampunk.
Okay. So maybe we're getting a little bit of that in the... Well, I don't know. Is the next one kind of steampunk? No? Okay.
No, Matt's magic punk.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think Mad Max is diesel punk.
Okay.
And we're fueled by magic here, so there's no diesel, in fact.
Yeah.
So. Okay. And for anyone that doesn't know what steampunk is, are you able to give us a quick, what that what that is exactly?
Yeah, I mean, it tends to be like almost like a Victoria. It's like the steam era, so it's like Victorian era, I
Yes.
would say. So if you're talking like infernal devices from Cassandra Clare's worlds, that would be like the steampunk era. And so you tend to have a lot of like fabricated technology that is based on like ways that you could make it, but not in a modern sense. And so it's sort of it's hard to define, but it's kind of a vibe. But you would feel very like Victorian England would be the typical
yeah.
steampunk.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
So I love steampunk.
Love it. Maybe that answers the next question as well, which is, what's your favorite unhinged read? Is there something that you've read that you weren't expecting to like, but you did?
I don't dislike really anything. Like I don't read dark romance. I don't dark romance in the sense where like stuff with non-con and dub-con and whatnot. It's not my thing. But so dark in that sense, because sometimes people think that the dark romance is other stuff is dark. I mean dark as in the romance.
Yeah. There's dark and there's dark. There's different levels.
Yeah. And so something that I've read that I didn't expect to like. I don't know. I never start reading anything that I think I'm going to hate. So, no.
We were saying like books like, I don't know if you've read Kiss of the Basilisk, but that was something that seemed so unhinged, and yet I so thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was just so out there and random and yet so good.
Yeah. I mean, I really like unhinged stuff. I just don't like it when the hero is bad to the heroine.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I
know lots of people like it. That's fine. It's just not me. But yeah, I don't know. I never go into anything like thinking that I would never start reading something. I've got way too many books that I need to read. Like people who hate read stuff, I'm like, how do you have the time?
I know.
I don't even have time to read the things.
Same. I'm like, if like for me, it's like I only have time for 4 or 5 star books. Like if I'm not into it, I can't. I just can't. My time's too precious.
Yeah, I know. I just stop. It doesn't bother me. I have lots of unfinished books, and I am fine with that.
Okay, what is the best part of being an author?
I get to be paid for writing my delusions down on paper and selling them to people.
Oh, so good.
It's pretty amazing.
The dream.
If you think about it. Like I just made some like random shit up and wrote it down and you bought it.
Oh.
And that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, multiple versions.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it is an amazing thing. If you are a daydreamer like me and are just, that's your day is imagining these types of things, to be able to make a living off of sharing those dreams is pretty incredible.
Yeah. In contrast to that, what's the hardest part of being an author?
Sometimes people are really mean. Yeah, I would say the hardest part is not so much that everybody, like lots of people are going to dislike your books, and that's fine. I'd say that the worst part is when you've had a reader that usually likes your stuff, and then they hate something and you feel like you've disappointed them so bad. I think that's like the biggest crushing moment. And it happens and you learn to accept it. But yeah, when you see like in passing, I normally love her, but this was just such a huge disappointment. I'm like,
oh, you're like,
I didn't mean to fail you. But
no,
but yeah, I mean,
definitely don't need to worry about that. I think that you say the ones I've just read, like all these finales to these books, and honestly, and while you sometimes will have books where a character may not go in the direction you thought they were going to go, or love interest, it doesn't end up, if it's a good story and it all comes together, I think you can always step away as a reader and go, wow, that was amazing. Like, and I love the journey that those characters went on. As long as it's justified and it all ties together, that's, I think, when you feel really satisfied as a reader.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Finish this sentence. When I begin writing a novel, I can't write one word without
wasting a lot of time on the internet first.
I love that. That would be me. That would absolutely be me. Okay. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show that influences your writing?
Peaky Blinders.
Ooh.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Miss Shelby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Of your characters, who do you think would be the best in the bedroom? Maybe we already have this answer from
It would be James or Karis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think so. I agree with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Not Agrippa after he educated Killian
Agrippa
on his...
is only 20 going on 21.
True.
He's very young. Yeah.
When you're comparing him to like grown men, come on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
He has the capacity to get there. Just give him 10 years.
Yeah.
But no, I would say Karis or James. I would say.
Love it.
Okay. You guys haven't really gotten in there with James yet.
No, we haven't. Yeah.
I know. I'm so much to look forward to.
Yes. So yeah, I would say Karis or James.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If one character was sworn to protect you for life, but would also be by your side always, who would you choose?
Agrippa. Come on. He's like the best bodyguard.
He's the best bodyguard. He's so loyal.
And he's also funny. He'd keep you entertained all the time.
We would just have a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Agrippa, 100%.
Okay. And one last question from me. What's something that might surprise fans in the finale of The Bridge Kingdom?
Something that might surprise people. I think that Prince Carlo of Amarid, whom we get to meet, will be as somebody who you are not expecting.
Okay, that makes me
exciting.
I don't want to spoil
I don't know anymore. We'll just leave it there.
We'll just leave it there. Yeah,
Boom.
That's exciting.
Leave it open. Exciting. All right, awesome. That's my game. Thank you so much. Now, Alley has just a little one as well.
So very fast, this or that, intended to torture you.
Okay.
So slow burn romance that aches for 500 pages or fiery insta chemistry that shakes up the plot immediately?
Slow burn. That one was easy.
Yep.
Yeah. I think I know how you answer this one. A shocking plot twist that nobody saw coming or a deeply satisfying inevitable ending?
I like both. I think that having a better ending is more important than having a plot twist because the ending is what you remember.
Yeah.
True. Mm-hmm.
The plot twist is fun. I like plot twists, but the ending and the way that you feel about an ending is what resonates and sticks with you.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But both are.
And it needs to feel like we got there.
Yeah.
Like I think that's one of the things that you do so well is like all of your endings feel
justified.
Like justified, you know, that like everything has come together to get
earned. The earned ending.
Yes, that's a good way. Yeah, absolutely. Earned. The heartbreak of a beloved character death or the frustration of an unresolved cliffhanger?
Like, which do I prefer?
Yeah, which do you prefer?
I love a cliffhanger. You know this.
Yeah.
I mean, a heartbreak is good, but I love cliffhangers.
Queen
I love them as
cliffhanger.
a reader. So
sorry
for all of you who don't.
Would you rather have lunch with your favorite fictional heroine or with your favorite fictional villain?
With the heroine, because I'd be like a little bit worried about what might happen. But
unless it was Marcus, right? Because I don't know. I would love to have
but I would be so intimidated by him.
Yeah.
I feel like I could sit down with Tariana. It would just be easy and fun. But if I sat down with Marcus, I'd be like, I'm so nervous right now.
I'm scared.
I would be like rendered sort of speechless and in the corner. But so I feel like I would rather meet one of the girls.
Okay, that's fair. Would you rather have a love triangle with two great options or one clear soulmate but endless obstacles?
One clear soulmate and endless obstacles.
Yeah.
I do like a good love triangle, but the key there is good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. All right, last question. would you rather hear that your book made someone cry in the good way, or hear that your book made someone stay up till 4 a.m. to finish because they couldn't put it down?
Cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I collect reader tears, so that's important to
You
me.
brought that emotion out in them.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's everything.
Okay.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
letting us interview you a second time. It was so great.
It was my pleasure.
I'm so excited for Bridge Kingdom 6. I'm so excited for this Mad Max meets Snowpiercer book. I can't wait. Tell us, where can people find you? What do you want people to know in the last few minutes here?
I am Danielle L. Jensen on all website and social media except for TikTok. I'm Danielle Lynn Jensen. I'm also Danielle L. Jensen, but I forgot the password for that, so I had to create Danielle Lynn Jensen. So you can find me under my name everywhere: newsletter, social media. I try to keep them all up to date, but yeah, if you're looking for specific facts, my assistant is always really, really good about making sure my website has the latest information and like links and additions and all that sort of stuff. So it is definitely, if you have a question, go there first.
Amazing. And is there any specific dates
beautiful Bridge
to be
Kingdom books
looking out for upcoming for the Bridge Kingdom finale, and anything to be excited about in 2026?
Yeah. So the Bridge Kingdom finale, it'll be coming out first on Audible on October 9th, I think.
Yes.
So very soon. And then it will be out in print and ebook in April. So it'll be out in paperback in April. We are, of course, working on putting out the hardcover editions, and those will be coming out about every sort of 4 or 5 months between them. So just watch them to be slowly cycling out as we get the art done and get everything ducks in the row for all of us.
Oh, it's so exciting! But they're all going to match and make a beautiful
are all going to match.
artwork for your trophy wall.
So good.
Yes.
Amazing.
I can't wait.
Thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for writing these books. These finales are just next level amazing. We love your brain. We love everything you've created. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today.
Pleasure.
And we will hope to see you in the future next time when we've got more books to talk about.
Yeah.
Hopefully
we'll come regroup when it's time for you to meet our new hero.
Hopefully you take a little well-deserved vacation, because you have delivered a lot of books this year, and I think you've earned yourself like a beach and a pina colada or something and a relaxing time, because
I'll lay on the beach and think of more stuff to write down and sell you.
Perfect.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Thank you and bye.
Thank you. Bye.